What's happening, boys and girls? I am the Anthrometal, and this is Today in Gaming. I hope you are having a magnificent Monday. We are right in the thick of it, right in dead center of E3. Sorry I didn't get a video out to you yesterday. I will go ahead and blame Bethesda for that because they moved their conference 2 hours back, making it super late. And then it was bad. Anyways, we'll get to that. But so with this video, we're going to be covering basically all of yesterday up to right now, which is I was able to catch most of the Ubisoft conference at 3 and the PC gaming conference that was at noon today. I'm in Central Time, it's the state, so just to give you kind of a reference point. And tonight we will have at 8 p.m. Central, we will have the Sony press conference, which I will cover, and hopefully I'll get a video for that up tomorrow morning. And then we'll cover the Nintendo conference tomorrow, and I'll get a video up for that tomorrow as well as any other news that ends up coming out of tomorrow. So let's go ahead and dive right in because we got a whole lot of stuff to go through. Starting with yesterday, the Microsoft conference kicked off. We finally got a look at the Scorpio, which is now officially called the Xbox One X, or the acronym Xbox. Yes, that's exactly what the acronym spells out. It looks a lot like the dev kits we saw, minus a couple of different things. It is a uniform black color. They haven't advertised any other colors as of yet, and it will cost $499. While some people think this is a price point too high, I honestly think this is a price point perfectly matched, and I would have liked to see it lower, but it's good for where it's at. They have advertised that it is a premium console for premium people, whatever that means. I didn't mean to say it like that. That sounded awful. It'll come out November 7th this year. And they talked all the different specs. They said, of course, it is compatible with all the Xbox One family of stuff. So accessories, whatever, from the first one through the S to now. And they even said that, they even showed it's actually smaller than the Xbox One S, which is kind of weird because that one was supposed to be like the Slim model, whatever. And it's actually pretty impressive from an engineering standpoint and manufacturing because they combined all that into a tiny ecosystem. They didn't mention a power brick, but it didn't look like a power brick. If you look at the back of it, it doesn't look like it has a power brick port on it. It looks like it's like the Xbox One S, where it's just a plug-in for going straight to the wall. So we'll get more information about that coming through the coming weeks because they've been showing it off like crazy and doing a lot of stuff like that. What was really cool about the Microsoft conference is they showed that everybody wanted it to be first. It was great. And then they just dove in and they did games. They were all about their games. They showed off. They said, I think they showed 42 different games, 22 of which are console exclusive, which is awesome because that's one of the biggest points that Sony has had up on Microsoft is good console exclusivity. Now, just as a forewarning, of course, a lot of that console exclusivity for Microsoft comes by the way of their ID at Xbox program and their indie game program, basically. They've had like 500 games published through that indie program, and a lot of them are actually pretty good. Now, there are a couple of, in there, but some of them are awesome. So I'm going to run down a list of everything we saw. They did focus on a bunch of different things, but just to kind of go like in order, like chronologically of what they showed. They did start out showing, of course, the first game we all knew that they were going to show off, Forza 7. Visually super impressive. Now, I don't have a 4K monitor, full like disclosure, so I can't really speak to it. It looked awesome on my monitor, so I know that it would probably look even better on an even better one. So, and they're not that expensive anymore, surprisingly. Anyways, which I plan on getting one. They actually showed, they actually even debuted an actual new Porsche racing car, which not really the market for it, but cool. I mean, they're really bought into it. So, they said Forza's coming to both that and of course, Windows and everything like that. They did open up showing also a Metro Exodus, a new Metro game. They said it was an open world Metro. It looks amazing. It looks awesome. It's like walking around with a crossbow and like stuff. I still need to go back and play the Metro games. Even read the books because I'm a nerd like that. Then they debuted the trailer for Assassin's Creed Origins, which of course is what we all thought it was. The leaks had come out, and it is set in Egypt, ancient Egypt, like the foundation of the Brotherhood and everything like that. They even showed gameplay from it, which was really cool. Now, one big surprise, we had talked about it, we had rumored it a while back, and they actually, Xbox got exclusive rights to put PlayerUnknown's standalone Battlegrounds on Xbox. They said it'll be coming this fall through the aforementioned ID at Xbox program. So that's actually a really big get, and that's a really cool thing because that's super popular right now through all the streaming community and through Steam. It's like the number 3 most played game. So we'll see how well it translates to consoles. I don't know how they're going to be able to put 100 players all on the same thing, but I mean, they're able to do so much with Battlefield 1 already with the current specs. So maybe it'll turn out. We just got to wait and see. I'm just excited that it's coming there because I'll probably end up playing it on Xbox. That's just, of course, because I'm a fanboy. So then they just to run down some things. They showed off a Deep Rock Galactic, which was it looked like a cross between Astroneer, but they were dwarves, and but it was also a horde game. So I have no idea really about that. A pretty extended look at or trailer for State of Decay 2, which looks awesome. I still gotta go back and play the first one. They showed off the Darwin Project, which was this weird it was a battle arena type. It almost had the what's it called, Battleborn art style to it. So it's kind of cel shaded and really cartoony kind of looking. So it looks interesting, but I don't know. Then they started talking about community marketplace for Minecraft and showed off a super duper graphics pack that would come out later and give some super awesome resolutions and stuff that we've already seen on computer that they've done to Minecraft. They'll now be able to do on Xbox and other families of whatever other things that they're doing on those, meaning the other platforms. That's the word I was looking for. Jeez. Then one cool surprise, they showed off a new Dragon Ball Z fighting game, and it was 2D, and it looked badass. I was never really a fan of the 3D games. I mean, I've played a little bit of them, but I can't. The controls are wonky, and they're just kind of clunky feeling. But I mean, I'll go back and play them again. But it's really cool to see a DBZ game in this day and age. I mean, God, I watched that when I was a kid, so yay for that. And then Black Desert, which is an MMO on Steam right now, is coming to Xbox One as well, and I believe they said that was another exclusive for at least the Xbox, to be on to be on this console. So cool for that. And then they showed off a couple of what are they called, 2D platformer games. Really kind of, I hate using the word indie for them, but it's just indie. Last Night is really cool looking because it looks like the world from Blade Runner, and I am a Blade Runner nerd, and I can't wait for Blade Runner 2049 later this year. But it looks really cool, really artsy and stuff like that. And then to play off of that, the next game called The Artful Escape of, I don't remember the rest of it, but it was The Artful Escape of somebody, is another game that looks like just one long 2D platformer acid trip. It looks awesome. I can't wait to see them. We did finally get a full-length trailer for Code Vein, which is, if you remember, is that vampire Dark Souls anime-esque game. Yeah, that describes it perfectly. I can't wait for it. So I can't wait for all of these things. All right, calm down. I'm hyped. We got a good look at Sea of Thieves again, of course. And man, it looks just, I'm going to post everything. I'm going to quit talking about how great everything looks because I'm just hyped like crazy. We got one for Tacoma, which we haven't heard anything about in a long time. A kid's game called Super Lucky Tale looked like another just kind of old school 3D platformer. Finally, we got a release date for Cuphead. I have been waiting for that game for, 3 years now? So September 29th, they advertised Cuphead will finally debut. If you don't know what Cuphead is, I'll post a link, of course. It's all hand-drawn, old-school animation style platformer 2D action game. It looks so cool. It's the really old-school, cartoon. We're going back to the 30s and 40s, 1930s, 1940s, cartoons. They look so cool, and I can't wait to finally play it. And hopefully it's awesome, but it looks great, of course. We did get a good look at Crackdown 3. Terry Crews is in it, voicing one of the characters, of course. We didn't get to... One of the things that disappointed me in this trailer for Crackdown 3 is I didn't get to see a lot of city destruction that they advertised whenever they first talked about it way back in 2014 or whenever they did. They really just showed them blowing up a bunch of cars, 4-player co-op and stuff like that. And while that's cool, it just didn't really show a lot of extra stuff, stuff that they have been talking about. But... for being one of the AAA exclusive titles to Xbox, hopefully we see more and more out of it. Then we did get a big trailer montage for ID at Xbox. They showed off a whole host of them. I'll link that trailer down below because I couldn't catch all of them. I know they showed Strange Brigade, which was that new one from the Sniper Elite developers, which was like a 1930s co-op action-adventure game. They showed off Ashen, which is another... It kind of looks like Dark Souls, like a co-op Dark Souls, but in the style of like Hyper Light Drifter. Looks pretty interesting. Showed the prequel to Life is Strange that we heard rumored a while back. So it's called Life is Strange Before the Storm. And we got a good look at Shadow of War, the new Middle-earth, the Shadow of Mordor sequel. And the new Nemesis system, which looks dope. And the like whole armies and stuff like that, really cool. Then we got awesome one. They finally debuted a trailer for Ori and the Will of the Wisp. It's just, God, that game is beautiful. Like, you want to make a case for video games as art. These two games, Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisp, are dead center for those. Then, the big announcement they had was that the backward compatibility program that Xbox has, they are extending that, or expanding it is a better word, to original Xbox titles, which is pretty cool. I didn't own an original Xbox. I still had a PlayStation 2 at that point. So I can't really speak to it, but I know a lot of people are really excited about that, to play some of those old games that they still have. And apparently it'll work the same thing. You just pop your disc into the tray, it'll get that digital license from it, and then you'll be it on your hard drive. So that's really cool. I'm really glad to see that they're still promoting that and able to figure those things out. And last but not least, to round out the Microsoft conference, I'm sorry guys, this is a long one. We got the extended look at the new BioWare title published by EA called Anthem. And it's that Destiny-esque title that, like, we when they just teased it, we thought it looked like Attack of Titanfall, or Attack of the Titan, whatever. I think Rooster Teeth said that during their stream that I was watching, and it looks dope. Like, it looks so cool because, like, you're person walking around, and then you team up with other people. You get into like these mech suits. You can have, I think they call them javelins during the thing. The amount of open worldness that they showed during that is what blew me away, because like they walk through the city, through a whole crowd of people and everything. They go get in their javelin, then they go to the edge of something, like where their city is. What is this itch? Then they jump off that and then zoom around, fly through this world, and it's all interconnected. There's no loading screen or anything. And then they go land and start hunting stuff and like blowing stuff up. And it just, if they can pull off the way that this trailer shows. Did I just spit? Was that spit? I'm sorry. That's what this thing is supposed to be for, man. And if they can do that, it is a serious contender to go up against Destiny. So we only got, it's this still, just a few minute look at Anthem, but for everything that it shows to do, and it doesn't come out, I think, until next year anyway, so we still got a ways out for it. But man, if they can bring it, like I hope they can, because I think this is like the main BioWare studio too. So the team that was originally behind Mass Effect, they're making this. They're putting all their stuff behind this game. So it overall, I think Microsoft had a great conference. And because they focus so much on games now, they didn't have that killer app that was basically like, this is why you need to buy this one. Sea of Thieves looks pretty fun, but it's not a console seller in my opinion. And just being the fanboy that I am, of course I'm going to get an Xbox One X when it comes out, but I wish it was at a lower price for the rest of everyone, because it's definitely not like a regular consumer model console. That being said, their focus on games seems to be renewed, and I'm really excited about the future of it. And I just hope that they continue to bring it when it comes to games. So that was the recap for that one, for the Microsoft conference yesterday. We had to wait. For some reason, Bethesda decided to delay their conference for 2 hours from their original, I think it was a 9 p.m. Central slot, and then they delayed it to 11 p.m. Central for, I don't know why, because their conference was about 35 minutes long. Of their like hour-long slot. They came out, they made a debut or whatever, started the conference. I don't remember the guy's name. Pete Hines, there it is, from Bethesda, came out, talked a little bit, then showed a video. That video lasted for literally like 30 minutes. And it was showing their little Bethesda land stuff, and then went into their IPs, and it didn't really show us anything new. They talked about, they showed off Doom VR and Fallout 4 VR, which is awesome because those are finally like, I don't know if Doom VR is a full-length game, but Fallout 4 VR looks to be like a full-length title actually in VR, which we haven't had. And so those people, not me included, I don't have a VR yet, but those people that do have access to VR, they finally have something to warrant having VR. They really haven't had anything to warrant it yet, except just a couple of cool experiences. They showed some Elder Scrolls Online DLC, of course, with Morrowind. There were some other extra ones that they showed along with that. They said coming soon with these other ones. I think it was like a return to something with Skyrim, there, and something with, I think, the Black Reach, maybe? I don't remember. The next thing they showed off, they're like, ooh, Creation Club. They showed a freaking crab with crab armor on in Fallout. I mean, and then they were going over the fact in the stream I was watching, and they're like, is this paid? And they're like, no, it's not paid, but you have to spend money to buy credits to buy some of these mods that they're doing. It's all about mods. It's a way around paid mods. It's so confusing. I don't know what they're thinking about it, but somebody made the point maybe they're trying to get around paying the whole idea that Sony has. They don't want to allow mods on there because it's not made by a third party. It's made by somebody outside of it. They don't want to use that to mess up the ecosystem. But this is a way for them to say, hey, it's going to go, like, whenever you want a mod and stuff like that, it'll go through like a huge vetting process of getting mods out there, which seems kind of cool. But man, for having to pay for some of this stuff, I don't know. I just don't know what what their game is right there. I mean, I know what their game is. It's to make as much freaking rain as possible. Then they showed some more stuff about Elder Scrolls Legends, showing a downloadable content pack for Skyrim to play into that. They showed Skyrim on the Switch, which is coming soon. They showed something that looked like motion controls, but I doubt it is. It's probably just more like, pressing buttons to do certain things. Then they showed off a new trailer for some Dishonored DLC that'll be coming along later on, called Death to the Outsider. Haven't played a lot of Dishonored yet, so it's definitely on my list to get caught up with. They did have an extended thing with an extended look at Quake Champions and the Champions League. They debuted a tournament that's going to be established. That's like $1 million tournament to play Quake. And one of the characters that's going to be in Quake is going to be BJ, I don't know how to say his last name, from Wolfenstein. Speaking of Wolfenstein, remember the Bethesda land map they showed a while back, and they had 2 places that were under construction? Well, one of them turned out to be Evil Within 2, which it was like everybody was hoping it would be a new IP. It's just a sequel to an IP. Although one that's kind of like a cult classic at this point. Haven't played it, can't tell you about it. Looks interesting, so I will, of course, end up picking it up and playing it. And that one is actually coming out this year in October 13th, which, of course, is a Friday the 13th. Fitting. Then the other area that was closed off under construction, Wolfenstein, the new Colossus, I think is what it was called. And I mean, it looks cool, the new Wolfenstein, and remember I was talking about BJ on there. So, I mean, we'll see. I have the other one, I haven't played it yet. Don't judge me. So that rounded out that one. And then Pete Hines came out after this huge video show and was like, "Thank you for coming. Bye." It was just such an underwhelming conference. I mean, I don't know. I know that they have to like hold their spot for some reason or else they'll lose it or something like that. Is a weird rule that E3 has. So for whatever reason, that's what happened with them. But they didn't really show a lot of new things. They could have just done all of this through like, the internet, like regularly, but they chose not to. So, but that rounded out the Bethesda conference, and before I knew it, Devolver's conference started. So Devolver Digital, which is a relatively small company that publishes a lot of different indie games and all of kind of smaller titles, this is their first E3 showing, and oh my god, their conference was the most surreal thing I have witnessed in a long time. I don't know what happened. It was like an extended Tim and Eric short, or like an Eric Andre show. I don't know what it was. I'll link it down below because it's one of those things that make me glad to be alive, because it was a moment that I was like, am I watching this right now? Am I? No, I am. Okay, everybody's the same. And then they went into a stream about it later on. That apparently lasted all night until this morning. So, and it was just so surreal and so weird and just, it was awesome. They did show like a new Serious Sam type top-down shooter, almost like, what is the name of that one? Something Smash TV. So, like a twin stick shooter style. So, looks to be awesome. I love Serious Sam. So, that rounded out Devolver Digitals, and that was all that we got yesterday. So, jumping to today, we had the PC gaming conference, and let's just be real here. Why did why do they have a gaming conference for PC? Like, I know a lot of people game on PC. I'm not knocking that at all. What I mean is having a conference for PC gaming is just it doesn't feel authentic, I guess. They did debut a new thing for XCOM 2, had a really kind of extended talk with that. It's like they just did a lot of interviews on stage with it, and it just felt weird, and it's the second year they've done it, and I don't know how I feel about it yet. It's just nothing really big debuts on this stage, and I don't know, just weird. They showed off Ooblets. They showed off a new BattleTech game, which is from the creator of MechWarrior. They showed off, I think it was Total War. Wasn't able to catch this because I was trying to do this while I was at my day job. Showed off Shadowverse DLC called Wonderland Dreams, I think it was. Shadowverse is a card game, if I'm right. Did a whole segment on VR stuff. Showed off, I don't even know what Tunic is anymore. I just saw this today. I don't even remember that game. They did an extended interview with PlayerUnknown and PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. Talked about it a bunch. When I came back, they were talking about Killing Floor 2 and DLC for that coming out called Summer Sideshow, which is a carnival-themed thing, of course. They did talk about Forza 7 being on PC and that coming exclusively there. They talked to some of the guys there. I mean, exclusively as in both it's Microsoft's thing. They did also talk about Sea of Thieves is coming to PC. Then last night, the weird indie Blade Runner title we talked about, the Microsoft one, is coming to PC. Then there was a look at a game called Islands, and it was like it kind of looked like Minecraft, but with the kind of art style like Breath of the Wild. So I don't know what to really think about it. Then we got another trailer for Lawbreakers, so that game will come out eventually. And then a game called Wargroove, which was from the developers of Stardew Valley, and it honestly looks like a cross between Advance Wars and Fire Emblem. It was kind of weird. It looks pretty interesting, but just looks kind of weird, and I mean, I'm down for it. I gotta be honest, I stopped watching at that point because I had other stuff to do, and it just kind of started dragging on at that point. So that rounded out the PC gaming conference. So moving on to the Ubisoft one, I was a little bit late getting into this one, so I was about 15 minutes late. I know that they started out with the Rabbids Mario crossover or Mario Rabbids crossover. I don't remember which one it was. And looks pretty cool. It's kind of a weird gameplay style, almost like XCOM. And so it's a cool crossover, and excited to see that come to the different things and see what it's like. And then we did get another look at Assassin's Creed Origins. They got more kind of in-depth look at that. They did after the show do like a 30-minute gameplay thing with it, which was all right. And I mean, it's another Assassin's Creed game, but I'm still excited for it just because it is a completely different setting, going to the origins of the Brotherhood and just to see how everything kind of started. Then we got a really cool look at The Crew 2. So we knew The Crew 2 was going to be, or The Crew was getting a sequel. This actually showed off, apparently you're going to be driving everything. Like, they said everything. They showed off, driving race cars. They showed off driving on the street. Then they showed off driving monster trucks and dirt bikes, and then flying stunt planes, and then driving racing cigarette boats. And I'm trying to think of any other vehicle that I missed in there. Basically, they said everything you can race it. Like, they showed off this character as being the king of motorsports. So it looks pretty awesome. I can't wait to try it out because The Crew was pretty underrated. It was incredible for what it did, having a giant open world, basically a map of the United States, and you could drive it anywhere, and it was pretty awesome. I just need to play it more. I need to play everything more. Need more games. Need more time. Then they did another look at South Park: The Fractured Butthole, and said it will come out this year, which I'm super excited for. I didn't write down the date. I'm sorry, but finally that game is coming out. I still have to go back and play the other one. That's a recurring theme if you haven't figured it out. I don't have enough time to play these games like everybody else in the world. So I have to condense it all into different things like that. Then we got a look at a VR title called Transference, which is actually from the studio that Elijah Wood founded. Now that word sounds weird to me. Talking about like stuff and like shared consciousness they did back in the 90s. Now you're going to be doing this. It looks trippy as hell. They didn't really show any kind of gameplay from it, but like the concept itself looks really trippy. Then they debuted a new IP called Skull and Bones, and it basically is the ship portion of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. It is awesome looking. Like, it's 5-on-5, or you can do it yourself. I don't know if they said you get a virtual crew or not, but you captain the ship and go out, find treasure, and do that, everything like that. It looks really, really fun, and I hope that I think they said it comes out in 2018. I hope I think they said fall 2018 or something like that. Whenever it comes out, that it just looks like it'd be a hell of a lot of fun. So we're getting a lot of doses of pirates with that in Sea of Thieves. And then we had a kind of an awkward dance montage thing, live dancing thing for Just Dance 2018, which, I mean, it's a huge franchise, but it's just they do these awkward things. And then a South Park phone game called South Park Phone Destroyer, which didn't have a release date, but they said 2017, but I will get that day one once it comes out. Then they showed off a new like collectible, what would you call it? Kind of like what was it, the Disney Infinity was, and the Spyro things were. I can't even remember what they were called. Basically, you make a ship out of these like parts, like toys, and then it attaches to your controller, and then that ship is your ship in the game. And then you fly it around, shoot stuff, looks like a Starfighter type game, and you can switch things out on the fly. So like, hey, I need this cannon part, you can switch that off your thing mid-game, and it'll recognize it and everything. It looks pretty cool, and I mean the concept is crazy. The next thing they showed was some Steep DLC. They said Road to the Olympics. They got like an Olympic sponsorship, it looks like. So all the Olympic games that you would get with like the winter sports and stuff, those are now going to be in Steep, which is pretty cool because we didn't know where that game was going to go once it launched, and we really haven't heard anything from it since it launched back in December, I want to say. So it's cool to see them continuing stuff like that. Then we did get a good extended look at some Far Cry 5 gameplay and some more stuff about the characters there. So I'm super excited for that. I can't wait for that game to come out and get back to Far Crying. And oh boy, here I go killing again. Then the biggest surprise of this conference so far, of at least Ubisoft's, is they started showing this cinematic, and we're like, what the hell is this? We don't know what this is. And it was, like what is it called? Like animals, but people talking to each other. This big old pig guy looking all gross and greasy, talking to this monkey guy, and then the monkey guy runs off. And then everybody, like, there's this huge chase scene, like explosions happen and everything. They get on this ship, and then like, oh, it's this. Then they find this other place and this other thing. And I know I'm being super vague right now, but it turned out to be Beyond Good and Evil 2, which has been like 14 or 15 years in the making. I think the last teaser that we saw was like 9 years ago. And I mean, the coolest thing about it is when they had their devs come up on stage and like they were talking about it, you can see how proud they were to finally see this come out, and like the reaction from the crowd. Like, it was cool because there was a moment that you heard the crowd like collectively gasp because they knew, and I was, as I was watching it, I was like, oh my God, that's the same thing. Like, it clicked for everybody at the same time, and everybody realized of what it was. So super excited to see that. And they didn't give a release date, so don't know when that's going to happen, but it was really cool to see it. So that rounded out Ubisoft's conference, and that was the last one so far today. Again, Sony's is later tonight. Are you excited about anything like this? E3 has been pretty decent so far, outside of Bethesda, just kind of laying a poop. I mean, I wish there was more stuff. Like, the Microsoft fan of me really wants to be like, oh, Microsoft is so good. They really weren't. it hurts me and it pains me to say that, because I really want Microsoft to succeed with the Xbox and everything. And at this point, oh wow, look at me now. I'm freaking integrating myself with that ecosystem. They're just playing catch up like so much right now, and we'll see where it goes from here. We'll got to catch the Sony conference tonight. If they drop the price on the Pro, freaking rip before you even got out the gate. But we'll see, and I'm going to continue being excited because I'm always excited. I know it looks like I'm freaking tired. I'm actually like starting to excuse me. So anyways, I am going to do that. I'm going to watch that later on tonight. I hope y'all will have a great rest of your day. I'm the Anther Metal. This has been Today in Gaming, and I will see you tomorrow.